everybody. Welcome to our open book. I guess I'm finally looking at the camera now. Caroline keeps going.
Doesn't help.
So thanks very much for being with us tonight. Look, all the all the talk about intelligence assets and firings from the military and blah blah blah. 1960, Richard Condon, who'd actually be a PR person in Hollywood, wrote a novel which is now considered to be a classic, and it has been made into a movie twice. Once with Frank Sinatra and Lawrence Harvey, once with Forrest Whitaker, and I think Denzel Washington, right, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a great story. And it has to do with Raymond Shaw is a sergeant, and during the Korean War, he is. But it's hard when my face. I mean, your face is there.
Yes, no. Darling, you look at
your face is so beguiling.
So you see me?
I see you from here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna.
Bloody hell!
I understand.
All right, and in any event, so Raymond Shaw, along with the rest of his platoon, is captured during the Korean War. And they are brainwashed. This is when the term was just beginning to be used. And he is sent back, and they have all kinds of criterion as to what makes him a good asset from the Russian and North Korean and Chinese point of view. And one is, of course, that he is his mother is married to a U.S. senator who was clearly modeled on Joseph McCarthy. Let me just start reading. Because at this point, Raymond is working as the assistant to a columnist in New York at a newspaper. But here's how his day begins. A short man with dark hair and skin, blue eyes, and blonde eyebrows called for Raymond at his apartment at 10:17 in the morning on July 14th, 1956, the day after the investigative committee had published their report on Johnny, that's his stepfather, the U.S. Senator. And a hot Saturday morning it was. The man's name was Zilkov. He was director of the KGB, or Committee of State Security, for the region of the United States of America east of the Mississippi River. The MVD, or Ministry of Internal Affairs, is much larger. The MVD had very wide powers and functions, but they hold to a jurisdiction of a somewhat more public nature inside the Soviet Union. KGB, however, is a secret police. Its director has ministerial rank today and is much more focused and feared personality than Gommel, the present MVD head. Zilkov was proud of the power he represented. Raymond opened in response to the doorbell and stared coldly at the strange man. They disliked each other instantly, which was nothing against Zilkov, because Raymond disliked almost everyone instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Raymond drawled obnoxiously. My name is Zilkov, Mr. Shaw. As you were advised by telephone this morning, I have come to drive you. No, it's wrong accent, isn't it? Any accent I do is wrong. I have come to. Never mind.
No, you read.
I have come to drive you.
Don't ask me to translate.
Oh, sorry. All right. I have come to drive you to the Sworden Sanitarium. You're late, Raymond told him, and turned his back to walk towards his baggage, leaving the man to decide whether he would enter or wait in the corridor. I'm exactly 2 minutes late, the short man snapped. That is late, isn't it? An appointment is an oral contract. If we should happen to have any other business in the future, try to remember that. Why do you have 3 bags? How many bags do you think you will need in the hospital? Have I asked you to help me with the bags? That is not the point. An accident case is not admitted to a hospital with 3 pieces of baggage. At the most, you may bring some necessities in an attaché case. An attaché case? Do you know what that is? Of course I know what it is. Do you have one? One, I have 3. Well, then please to place your necessaries into one of your 3 attaché cases and we will go. No, now. I will get there myself. I was told absolutely nothing about having to pack only the bare necessities into a leather envelope. I was told absolutely nothing about having to have to cope with a minor functionary of an obscure little hospital. That will be all. Return to your work. I will handle this myself. Raymond began to close the door in Zilkov's face. Wait, wait, nothing. Get your foot out of the door, you bore. Oh, out, out. You cannot. The short man threw his weight against the door, but Raymond's greater weight and superior strength gradually slid the security chain backward. Stop, stop, Zilkov cried. Out, said Raymond inexorably. No, please, Shaw, listen to me. Why don't you pass the time by playing a little solitaire? Do you know what that's the key to?
No.
Raymond stopped pushing Zilkov. Stopped pushing. Zilkov slipped into the apartment and shut the door behind him. So that's how he has been brainwashed. When they tell him to play a little solitaire, he listens to what they say. Let me read on a little bit. The Timothy Sworden Sanitarium had been a monument to personal philanthropy. Mr. Sworden, dead for 11 years, had been a wealthy alcoholic whose 2 daughters had been caught up in the narcotics habit. He'd founded the superb private hospital mostly for himself and his family, but also for the benefit of other drunks and junkies who were friends of the family or friends of friends. The spontaneity of this ever-widening circle of the establishment had come to the attention of Giorgio Berenosov's organization men who protected Soviet security on the eastern seaboard of the United States, and eventually 2 full floors of the 7-floor hospital were taken over entirely for their security use. The entire establishment having been bought at a real bargain from the youngest daughter, had still not been able to kick a cocaine habit regardless of the advantages her father had showered on her medically. Under the new management, the Little Haven was in its 2nd successful year of operation as one of the few money-making operations maintained by the Soviets, thanks to the many patients who were still loyal to the Sworden family. Of course, Raymond had not actually been hit by a hit-and-run driver, but many hospital insurance and police forms served to legitimize his stay, or the visits of others who from time to time found it necessary to go to Sworden for checkups. Raymond had taken a taxi to the hospital and had checked in as he would have into a hotel, and within half an hour, 2 Soviet nurses had him in a bed and sealed on the 5th floor. His right leg was put into a plaster cast, then in traction, and his head was bandaged. He had been put into unconsciousness by a voice signal while this was being done, and the memory of the morning's events had been erased. The office staff at the hospital had notified the police, and a squad car came by immediately to interview the cab driver who had brought Raymond in after seeing him hit by a green station wagon with Connecticut plates. This is quite an operation. Fortunately, 3 other witnesses corroborated the account, 2 women who lived in the neighborhood and a young lawyer from Bayshore, Long Island. Personnel manager at the Daily Press, that's where Raymond works, was notified to activate both the hospital and accident policies indicated by the identification cards found in Raymond's wallet. The technicians assembled the x-rays that proved Raymond to have suffered a brain concussion and ripped calf muscles. The Daily Press published a short account of the accident on its back page. This is how Major Marco, Frank Sinatra in the music movie, Major Marco, 1962 movie, was with him in Korea. This is how Major Marco learned about it and how Raymond's mother and Johnny got the news. Raymond's boss, Holborn Gaines, he's a big columnist, had dropped everything, a beer bottle and a report from the Manila office, and rushed to the hospital to see if there was anything he could do to help. The desk attendant, a Soviet Army lieutenant, upon studying his credentials and checking them against a list of Raymond's probable and therefore accredited visitors, sent him to the 5th floor just as though it were not a sealed floor. He was met at the elevator by a rugged Army nurse who was wearing the traditional cap worn by graduates of the Mother Cabrini Hospital of Winstead, Connecticut. where she had never studied, but which had given the establishment a certain amount of professional verisimilitude. Mr. Gaines was permitted to look in on Raymond, unconscious though he was, in traction and in presumed travail, and was told the running wheeze of the profession everywhere that Raymond was doing as well as could be expected. Gaines left a bottle of scotch for Raymond with the pretty young nurse. He also passed word along that Raymond was to take it easy and not worry about anything, which the nurse was careful not to tell Raymond in the event that it was a possible prearranged code. Technicians who worked directly under Yen Lo's North Korean handler, albeit also possessing a political rating or classification, were flown in on embassy quota from the Pavlov Institute in the Ukraine. They went to work on Raymond between visiting hours, checking his conditioned apparatus from top to bottom. 5 years had elapsed from the time the controls had been first installed. All linkages were found to be perfect. A courier took the detailed lab reports to the embassy in Washington. From there, they were transmitted by a diplomatic pouch to the project supervisors, who were Berezhenko and Yenlo, but Berezovko had been deemed insufficiently worthy following the disappointment that Laurenti Beria had been to the Kremlin, and he was dead. And Yenlo had refused to look at the report, saying with a mild smile they could not do otherwise than certify the excellence of Raymond's conditioned reflexive mechanics. Following the transmittal of the report overseas, Raymond met his American operator, who was to become his sole manager from the moment on, and whom he would never remember as having seen, and whom he would never be able to recognize as his operator, no matter where or when they met, because it had been designed that way. They were introduced, as it were, then the American asked to be alone in the room with Raymond. They conferred together for nearly 2 hours before Zilkov interrupted them. The two visitors in Raymond's room got into a heated argument with Raymond, watching them like a tennis spectator. Zilkov was a militant, bright young man. He maintained
Daisy, come.
emphatically that Raymond must carry out a test assassination in order to complete the reflexive checkout in the conclusive manner. The American operator opposed the suggestion violently and pointed out that it was both surprising and shocking that a security officer with responsibilities such as he held would see set to risk a mechanism as valuable as Raymond. Raymond listened gravely, then turned his eyes to hear Zilkov's rebuttal, which of course pointed out that due to the mechanism in him that had been designed for assassination, that it had been 5 years since it had been tested, conditions offered minimal risk for police reprisal, and that as far as he was concerned, the test could be made before he could sign any certification. The American operator said, "Very well. That's how Zilkov felt about it. Then Raymond should be instructed to kill an employee of the hospital on one of the sealed floors." Zilkov said he would order nothing of the sort, that the table of organization in the area was under acceptable strength as it was. As far as he was concerned, that Raymond would damn well kill some non-productive person on the outside. The American operator said there was no reason for Raymond to kill anyone unproductive. That might be as well as some feeling of gain out there, and recommended that Raymond's position at the newspaper, and then for his general value to the party, might be considerably strengthened if he were to kill his immediate superior, Holborn Gaines. As it was possible that after 5 years as Gaines's assistant, Raymond would be given the job, which in turn would give him wider influence within the inner chambers of the American government. Zilkov said he had no interest in whom Raymond assassinated so long as it worked efficiently and obediently. It was decided that Mr. Gaines should die 2 nights hence. Subsequently, the American operator complained bitterly through channels that Zilkov had been reckless and foolhardy with one of the party's most valuable pieces of apparatus in the United States. Unfortunately, the complaint was not made in time to save Mr. Gaines. But within 2 weeks, Zilkov was recalled and severely reprimanded. On his return to the United States, he could not have been more careful, both with Raymond and Raymond's operator, than they had been his own department heads. I might just pick this up tomorrow.
Do you want to play solitaire?
What do you say, darling?
Okay.
It's quite a book. It's quite a book. So thanks very much for being with it. How did
Will
everything
you
work?
show the cover?
Yeah. This is a reissue, obviously. We have an original around here somewhere. I'll have to take a look. A paperback, an original paperback that Auntie Chris got me. Any questions? Are we able to communicate?
Yes, we are, and it's wonderful. S. O'Brien says, let's see, where is it? Daisy, get your paws on that newly restored Olivetti. We are hungry for haiku.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll tell her that after.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Not that she needs any encouragement. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if Kat has been lurking about the typewriter, she's going to have to get.
Kat has been
to it.
lurking about the typewriter. Yeah.
I believe the official name for such a machine is a tippy tappy.
A tippy tappy, and it's beautiful.
It's a tippy tappy now. Okay, this is America.
Is that what they're called?
No,
No. Oh, you just made
I
that up.
just call them tippy
Oh, okay.
tappy
All right.
machines.
So thanks for being with us on our open book. We'll see you later. Have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye. Tippy.